Hi guys, welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast. My name is Mina and today we're going to do part 2 of our KnitPro needle set review. So you should have seen, or if you haven't already, you can go and check it out on my channel, the first part to this little two-part series essentially, where I unboxed this interchangeable needle set from KnitPro. It was kindly sent to me in exchange for a review on the channel. And so I'm not being paid to make this review, but the items were sent to me for free. So I've just taken everything out of the pouch. The pouch itself is beautiful and it's really nice and soft. I haven't shown this to Layla yet because I'll probably lose it if I do, because she'll want it. So I have here some yarn that I'm going to be doing a new design with, so I wanted to do some swatching. So that's what we're going to do today, to test out these needles and put them through its paces, see how they handle knitting, purling, and even some cabling. And then I'll come back at the end and talk to you a bit about how I feel about them. So there were two things about the old school, the original, the very first set, I should say, of KnitPro needles that I ever got that I didn't like. One was the fact that the printed numbers on the needles would rub off after a couple of uses, and then it was, you know, you'd have to either make sure you always put your needles back properly, or you'd have to use a needle gauge to figure out what size needles you had. And that's been corrected here, so even though you still have them printed on the needle, they're actually etched into the metal part of the needle as well, where the connection where it joins onto the cable. So that's great, because even though this number will probably wear off after a while, the etched on number will stay. And I'm going to be using the 4mm needles today, so actually the smaller size needles in this set. I've also never used cubics before, so that will be interesting to try out. And the second thing that's always bothered me about them are the cables that come with them. Now they've changed these and they claim these to be memory free cables, which is something that I really like about my Chagu needles, which I use a lot. And yeah, I'd say for the most part I would consider that memory free-ish. There's a little bit of a kink there, but nothing terrible, nothing as bad as these cables have been in my experience. So definitely liking these cables better already. I'm just going to use a short one because we're just doing a swatch today. And yeah, you get 3 different cable lengths as well. I think I went over all the details in the first video. And just in case you don't know how these work, let me zoom in a little bit. If you've never used a set of interchangeable needles before, what you do is you take the needle, you take your needle and you put it onto one of the cable ends, you screw it on, and then to make sure it's extra nice and tight and snug, you use one of these. It's called a key, like a cable key. It's like just a bit of metal. You pop it through. There's a little hole in the end here where of the cable connector part. You pop that through there, and then you can use that as a grip to hold on to and really tighten your needle onto the cable, so that when you're knitting it doesn't accidentally come loose. And then you just repeat on the other side. I've been a bit ill this last week, so just coming to the end of it. Screw that on, and then to make sure it's extra snug, oh, there we go, pop the key through, and you can use that as extra leverage to be able to screw it on nice and tight. So now I'm just gonna zoom back out. I'm gonna set this next bit to a bit of music, speed it up a bit. I'm just going to be knitting for a while, and then once I've done a few, once I've done a bit of the swatch, I probably won't finish the swatch on camera just because it'll take a while. Once I've knit a little bit and have a bit of a feel for how I think these needles are, I will come back up and chat with you guys. And then what I'm planning on doing is actually using these needles for knitting this new garment, because I really want to put it through its paces. And then once I've finished the design, I will obviously let you guys know on the upcoming podcasts, whenever that happens to be, how I felt about them. I kind of want to do this mini test, as it were, by doing this swatch, because I mean, these needles were sent to me to review, and I want to be able to review them and give you some opinion at this point. So in case you weren't aware and you haven't seen the first video, this is a new range being launched by KnitPro on Mother's Day, or for Mother's Day. So it's the J'adore, KnitPro J'adore line. These lovely purple needles. They come in the cubics. You get 6 sizes. Like I said, if you want all like the nitty-gritty details about exactly what you get in the box, in the package with the set, you can check out the previous video. I'll try and make sure to link it below so you can find it nice and easily. And yeah, I'll check back in with you guys in a little bit. Okay, I was going to put some music to this section, but I actually had an update I wanted to add to this video before it went out, and that is to say, I will talk about this at the end of the video, but as of recording it, I didn't have any sort of direct link to provide you guys with a way of purchasing these needles, this needle set, like directly from a shop or anywhere that I knew of that was selling it. However, since finishing recording this video and before I got around to publishing it, I found out that the yarn dispensary here in Kent is stocking these needle sets, and they have them in stock at the moment. They also have very kindly given me a coupon code, expat10. It should be popping up on the screen for you in a minute, and it'll be in the description box below, which will give you a 10% discount for purchasing the set. And from what I understand, they ship internationally as well, so if you are not in the UK and you are struggling to find these needles anywhere and you would like a set, you can also order from them and they'll be able to ship it to you. KnitPro, when I contacted them about it, they said they were going to try and get me a link, but because they don't sell direct to consumer, they sell to their stockists. All they could tell me was that you would have to ask your local KnitPro stockist shop, place, wherever, to order it in for you. So I asked what is essentially my local yarn store if they were going to be stocking it, and they said they would. So I'm going to give you their link because that's the only one I know of right now for being able to purchase these needles. So like I said, if you can't find these closer to where you are, or you would like to use the discount to get these needles, then feel free to use the link in the description box below. I get no commission from you making a purchase. I get nothing out of this. I'm just trying to provide you an option for purchasing, because I kind of feel like doing a review about a product and then not being able to tell you where to buy it if you're interested is a bit pointless. So I wanted to make sure to have that as an option for you. So like I said, please check out the links in the video description box below, and I will let you get back to the rest of this video. Alright. Hey guys, back now. So I've just done a little bit of the swatch. I'm probably gonna, once we're done here, I'll probably knit this to be twice as long overall before I bind it off and block it. I did swatch once already and I wasn't happy with the cable, and I was just trying out a few different things. This is the bare yarn before it was dyed. But also because I use different needles, I wanted to swatch using the cubics, because like I said, I'm planning on using these for the actual knitting of the garment design that I'm doing. And yeah, it's this super soft Donegal tweed yarn by the Midnight Diary. And anyway, so the pattern's going to have this sort of cable running down the sort of cable design incorporated, there we go, and then ribbing either side of the cables. So I wanted to see how that was going to look in this yarn, and it's a bit hard to see on camera, but there, I think that's a better view. And I think once it's blocked, it's going to fill out a bit more and look really good. One thing I've done here at the bottom is I've added these eyelets into the bottom garter edge, and that's just so I can remember what needle size I use. So I just do as many holes that corresponds with the needle size based on the US sizing, because metric you have half sizes and you can't do half an eyelet. I guess you could do something different, but you can't really do half an eyelet. So these are US size 4, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I made a mistake. I did 7. I was supposed to do 6. Okay, I will use my tail and close one of these holes, otherwise I will forget later and think I used US 7s instead of 6s. Alright, so the point of doing the eyelets has kind of been negated by the fact that I did it wrong, but that's neither here nor there. It's nothing to do with the needles, which is what I'm here to review. Clearly I'm still not quite 100%. But anyway, all that to say, the needles worked great. I do my cabling without a cable needle, as you may have noticed, and whilst these aren't the sharpest needles ever, the tips are fairly blunt, like you're not going to stab yourself and hurt yourself with them like you might do with metal needles. They are sharp enough to be able to do some simple cabling, which is great, because that was my one concern. I wasn't sure if these would be good enough for the cabling, because like I said, this project's going to have lots of cables in it, or I mean overall it's going to be a fair amount of cabling, so I don't want to have to be faffing around when it comes to doing the cables. And once I actually got into the rhythm of it, initially it was a bit of an adjustment because I'm not used to cubics, I'm not used to wooden needles anymore. It's been a long time since I've knit with wooden needles, so there was a slight adjustment at the beginning, getting used to how these felt in the hand, but they feel nice. Didn't get any sort of like pain or aches, but I mean I only knit, this was like 20 minutes of knitting, so if that even, so not sure. I mean, I'll report back on longer term use and how, if that affects me at all, but for now, loving them so far, and yeah, I would highly recommend. I love the fact that this cable doesn't just like curl back up on itself when you're not knitting. This was like one of my biggest gripes with the KnitPro needles, like the Symphonies, which was the first set I ever had. Definitely prefer these cables. It makes it much more enjoyable to work with these needles all together. So yeah, highly recommend based on that basis. The stitch markers work fine, they don't get in the way, and yeah, all in all I think this would be a really lovely little gift set, especially if you're planning on treating somebody, or I guess specifically in this case like for Mother's Day, if you want to treat a mum that you know, this would be a really nice set. Okay, I'm gonna have to get this all set up nicely for a photo afterwards, but yeah, it's a really nice set. It comes beautifully, like presentation wise it's beautiful as a gift set or as a special treat for yourself. You don't have to be a mum to use these needles, and I love it because they're purple, and purple is probably one of my favorite colors, so I love these, and I'm looking forward to getting a lot more use out of them over the coming months and years, I hope. It's been a few days since I last posted about the needles, and I thought I'd pop on to the end of this video just to give you some thoughts on how I'm doing with them now that I've been knitting with them for a few days on like a larger piece, part of a project. This is unblocked at the moment, but blocked it will be a bit bigger. It's a new garment design that I'm making out of the Midnight Diaries yarns, the Donegal Tweed Nept DK weight yarn, which is beautiful, and the needles are doing great. So these are the same needles that I swatched with. I just switched to the longer cable. The cable is great, doesn't kink up, and the needles are really comfortable to use. I knit for hours yesterday on this piece. Yesterday, when I'm recording this, yesterday was Mother's Day, so I probably knit on and off on this all afternoon into the evening, so, and I didn't have any pain in my hands or my wrists, so that was great. Like I said, it's my first time using cubics, so I was interested in how that was going to feel. It's been fine for the cabling I've been doing, and it's all rib otherwise, so it's been great. I've not had any issues with it. So I'm not sure where you can get these needles at the moment. I've contacted KnitPro and they are working on getting me a link to where you can purchase it. At the moment, all I've been able to see is that you can pre-order it from, if you know, a yarn shop, I guess, or somewhere that stocks KnitPro needles, I guess you can ask them if they can order the set for you, if that's something you're interested in. But unfortunately I can't give you any sort of direct purchasing links, which I was hoping to be able to do. Anyway, like I said, if you are interested in these and you would like to get some, I would just suggest contacting your local yarn shop or wherever you purchase KnitPro needles. I think in the US they're called KnitPicks, they're KnitPicks needles, but in Europe they're KnitPro. So yeah, that's what I think about them. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will catch up with you guys soon. Alright, take care. Bye!